to direct the attention of the press. JJ, will you lead? Deputy Chief, can you please lead the press in uh, seeing some of the firearms that were confiscated during the raids? So I invite the members of the press to go and have a look. Deputy, maybe you want to lead them in a small briefing on what they. Thank you. We'll now take any interaction from the press if you have any questions. Sure, yes, go ahead.
Any updates on the CCTV cameras within the city or under the cliff to start with? Any idea? So when you will start? Because I would imagine these will help in helping to curb crime.
As a minister, there's certain things I do not talk about publicly for a number of reasons. Actually, just to say, we have begun that process, and we're also ensuring that in our stations, that our stations are also the police commissioner and his management team can see everything that's happening at the police stations for the country. How many stations have done so far? So far, we have done 3 of the main police stations, and we have all the points throughout the country, with no exception, where cameras will be installed. And our expectation is to have that done before the independence. But we have to ensure we get the best cameras for that, with the competence to capture everything in color, the day and day and night. So yes, I did not speak about that particular intervention. Yes. Yeah.
Body cameras for the police.
Body cameras for the police. Now, going forward, I mean, that is something that we have to explore. So I believe if you have body cameras for the police, it provides transparency for both the police and the public. And so that is something that is, of course, is worthy of being explored. What we're doing now is ensuring that our streets are properly monitored, and our stations are properly monitored. And yes, but that is a futuristic, but also a very important thing to think about. And step by step, we're getting there. To say further, the issue of driving on an influence of alcohol, that is something that we have to ensure that, because there's nothing in the law that prevents the police now. If somebody is suspected for driving drunk, you can bring the person to the nearest police station or the nearest clinic to get sample of the person's blood. The law says that. But we're also working now to look at the laws, because the issue of drunk driving also causes lives. Only if illegal firearm causes lives. So we have to look at all the issue of public safety that need to be addressed going forward. And I believe the camera will be a useful tool. But yes, we're working on that. And don't ask me what they're going to be. Maybe you might see them, but I'm not going to see where they're going to be.
My question is also to you as well, Minister.
Okay, somehow we're gonna.
Earlier in the year, in July, when the Prime Minister waged war against violence in Dominica, we got up the 7-point plan, and we highlighted some of the measures that have already taken steps, such as the tinting on the vehicles. Two of the measures I'd like to inquire about is the hotline, the confidentiality hotline, where $1,000 will be granted for calling in and placing the tips of anyone. I'd like to find out thus far, 2 months later, have you all yielded any success from that hotline, as well as the Minister, you spoke about the slap on the wrist for people who commit those crimes. You also heard about the engagement of a special prosecutor here in Dominica. I'd like to find out an update on that, please.
Okay. Fair question. As I said, you're from Maui, from a year in Maui, so you can ask me any question you want. I don't know. So, let me start with the last question, what is so significant, of the engagement of a special prosecutor to deal specifically with gun-related matters. Yes, we have finalized the, in terms of reference space for that, we have done that, and we have identified the person who's going through the, in terms of reference and contractual terms, in terms of how much is actually would like to be paid, and that has to be negotiated between himself and the permanent secretary. That's been done also. So yes, that has been done. And the issue of, you asked a question about the hotline. I think the police can make a reference to that. In terms of the $1,000, I think it was a bold and to me very smart offer to have been made. But I heard people, the same folks who were talking about, we need to address the matter, saying, but my life does not worth more than $1,000. You see, as how unserious we are. So it is still there, and you can utilize it. And the issue about the hotline, as I said yesterday, somebody called and said that I have a gun, but I afraid to give it to you because you're going to arrest me. Understand? And the person did not disclose what number they called it from. The person said, I'm going to place the gun there with the ammunition, and the person was advised to remove the magazine from the gun and to disengage it, to make it safe. And the police went there and found a high-powered handgun, one shot will kill you, it takes in the right place. So that was the person used the hotline also. So in terms of the detail, I'm not a police officer. I am not involved in the granular detail of the operation of the police force. So I saw how effective the hotline is. I think maybe the deputy or one of them can reference to that.
To begin, let me just repeat the hotline number before I answer the question. It's 1-800-8477-TIPS, and it has been working. We have received several tips, not really only related to gun crimes or possession of illegal firearms, but other crimes, and we have been using it effectively. As a matter of fact, there is a team that is put in place to manage that hotline. So it is working. And as for the reward for the firearms that were surrendered, that too has worked. We have given one individual who caused a firearm to be recovered. We have paid him the sum that was advertised. So that has worked to a certain extent as well. Thank you.
My question is to the Minister. So it's very interesting that you spoke about a slap on the wrist by magistrates, and it's also very interesting that you mentioned where the Court of Appeal upheld a decision of a magistrate who incarcerated an individual, a first-time offender. However, after this very interesting ruling, a magistrate basically gave another individual a slap on the wrist. How do you fathom such rulings as you go about your ministry and also the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the police, fighting crime, gun violence, where the decisions of certain magistrates are not in keeping with what you are expecting and the country is expecting.
Very interesting to use the word fado. I believe that it's for all of us to have a real profound understanding of the situation and within the spirit and connotation of the word fado. So the fact of the matter is for all of us to understand in the most profound manner the situation. But I'm not there to cast aspersion over the magistrate court or the court. I believe it's for us to have an appreciation of the society that we live in, and that what makes sentencing relevant is that the sentence must suit the crime, and it must serve as a deterrent to potential offenders. So it's up to the individual magistrate to look within his or herself to have an understanding as to what is at stake. So the only reason I made reference to that was to bring out there that all of us have a role to play. And I hold fundamentally, and in my appreciation and understanding as to how the law operates and the interplay that exists between the law and social organization, to which, of course, the court belongs, because the court has a fundamental core obligation to society. And therefore, the sentences that you lay down will determine the kind of society that you create. And all of us have to live in the society we create. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So I think it's something that calls for a more profound, as you use the word, fathom, a profound understanding as to what is at stake. That's my point. And that is why the ministry will continue to do what it has to do, because just last week, through the instrumentality of the NDP, we organized what they call a case management 2-day training program with all the magistrates and the judicial officers and everybody working in the court. And fundamental to case management is the involvement of the judge and the magistrate from the time a matter is filed to the conclusion of the matter. So you have an understanding of the matter and the potential problems that may emerge, and how can you resolve this problem that you have identified. So we will provide all this training, but ultimately, the person sitting on the bench has control of the court, not scary the prime minister or the minister. We can talk about it as citizens, as the minister. I can talk about it, but without casting aspersion. But I'm saying it's a situation that calls for setting aside. There's no room for any element of indifference or cowardice. That's the way I want to put it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
We also want to, because I know the last press conference that we were there, there was the issue of I think that's this issue of the magistrate, and finally the magistrate has taken an oath and started speaking to them. Maybe you would really want to speak about that, so please.
Okay. We, as you know, as part of is taken and will continue to take is the engagement of additional magistrates. Last week, Wednesday, 3 candidates were interviewed, or the week before, 3 candidates were interviewed. We also have a former police officer who is a lawyer, who actually retired and working overseas, was also expressed an interest in being a magistrate. My advice is that he should apply, and the intention is to engage the magistrates, but and to ensure that we have the most magistrates in the history of this country. One thing that has to be seen as a deliberate intention of the government to ensure that matters are disposed of quickly and serious matters like gun crimes can be dealt with swiftly. We have 6 independent courts at the magistrate court. It means that 6 courts can operate independently. So we are striving to have 9 magistrates. And we have started the night court, and I want to take the opportunity to commend the magistrate for being there. I've been to the night court 3 times up to last night. I left there after 8, and the magistrate and the clerk and the officers were there doing the work. And they were providing the lights outside, and again, advising the police to ensure that outside security continues so we can maintain a sense of seriousness. And I understood all that is being done to ensure that matters can be disposed of quickly. And even bail hearing, I was told the night before last, were held at the court. Do you understand? And all different applications. So the night court in itself provides for greater utility of the court. And anybody who's interested in advancing the interests of justice must support night court. Let me just say further, the notion that night court was just pushed out there arbitrarily and abruptly is fundamentally untrue and misplaced. It's not the first time I've had night court, and night court have been spoken about. And a year and a half ago, I think I had a meeting with the Bar Association at their request in my office. Some of the items that we discussed, night court, and the passing once and for all of the legal professions bill, and a number of other issues. The Bar Association put on the table the need for additional magistrates, etc. All have been discussed. And a few months ago, the minister asked the permanent secretary, instructed the permanent secretary to engage the Bar Association and to bring everybody on board in terms of going back to the night court for a number of reasons. And so it wasn't something that was arbitrarily done. And there's some who maybe they believe that delays in matters work to the disadvantage. You understand? So anything that the state does to actually mitigate against that, they will oppose it. But any attorney who's interested in his client will appreciate any attempt that the courts make, the state makes, to provide greater utility of the court and greater access of the court services. Okay? I wanted to also add that.